A day of fair trade shopping begins in a place that might actually surprise you.
Well, I think a lot of the chain stores have become probably the largest driver of fair trade product sales in Canada. Cadbury's has an agreement with the United Nations actually to support farmers in West Africa who are growing sugar and also growing cocoa.
Right now, 11% of Cadbury's sales are fair trade, a bit of sweetness to add to a pretty decent quantity of coffee choices.
The organics, I think that's a Safeway blend, so that's their own label. Price to sell today, club price.
$8.75.
So there's the tiny little fair trade symbol.
Okay. Zach says there are other good news labels to look out for. About 85% of fair trade coffee and tea is also organic.
Black, English breakfast. The other symbol on here is the USDA organic, so U.S. Department of Agriculture.
All right, so we got a couple of things to stack up our shelves in our home, and this is pretty much what Zach eats in any given week or day. What?
That's my breakfast.
Yeah, okay, coffee and chocolate for breakfast. Heading out to 10,000 Villages now to see if we can get a few things to fill up a few other corners of the house. Let's head out.
Okay. They focus more on crafts and tea towels and bedding and furniture and that, but they also have fair trade foods, and all of it is part of their commitment to developing countries through the Mennonite Central Committee.
I think that people are really surprised when they hear about us for the first time, the mission that we're doing, the work that we're doing with developing countries and our fair trade producers. And it's a really fun environment in that way because it's fun to share the stories, the music is playing, there's coffee that's brewed, so it's a very fun environment to be in.
We're also interested in a little pairing, and our province's liquor marts are growing the fair trade industry in Manitoba.
We've grown leaps and bounds. We now offer one of the largest selections across the country, and we're constantly changing that assortment and selection and offering fresh and new things to our customers, so it's pretty exciting.
Globally, there are only about 50 fair trade wineries. Most of those are in Chile, South Africa, and Argentina.
What we're looking for is when we have products submitted to us, we're looking to make sure that they offers really a broad range of prices so that we can have something for all consumers and lots of different tastes. You know, we want the Chardonnays, but we also want a Malbec and Otrantas and all of the varieties in between, so there's something for everyone.
Of course, after all of this running around, we deserve a bit of a break, and Zach has one of the newest additions to the University of Winnipeg in mind.
The University of Winnipeg in general is known for bringing in fair trade and organic and 100-mile and buy local kinds of products for all the students, but notice that this particular canteen has really jumped in terms of what it has available.
Green Bean Coffee is always on, coming from the only certified fair trade roaster in Manitoba. All of the other menu items are just as deliberate.
We don't put the generic chocolate next to the fair trade chocolate. It's if you're going to eat our food, you're going to eat good food, and you're going to eat local food, and you're going to eat ethically sourced food. We're not really giving you the option to choose otherwise.
This is Elements Brody Centre Canteen, but there's a full restaurant in the new science complex, and all its food is ethically sourced, focusing on local whenever possible.
And a lot of people surprised how little thought actually goes into what they're putting into their bodies and where their money's going. So just a little bit of education, I think, goes a long way.
All right, so we're refueled and ready for our final shop, a place that's part of Winnipeg's fair trade beginnings.
The exciting thing about Humboldt's, I think, is that it's been around for a very long time. It used to be called the Green Earth Store, one of the original small family fair trade and organic and green stores. So icing sugar is good. I love pastry. And this one's good for you, dark brown. Here's some fair trade chocolate. I haven't tried this brand before.
There's locally grown grains. There's different clothing lines now. So lots of the stuff you can buy here, you know that it's grown or produced in an ethical manner, even if it doesn't have that specific fair trade designation.
We don't necessarily believe that fair trade is just a narrow category. We'd like to see people just looking at alternatives to what they might normally do. So here's a buy local that I would think of as fair trade Canadian.
Well, after a trip around town, we definitely have our fair share of fair trade products. But even if something doesn't say fair trade on the label, you can still feel good about what you're buying if you know where the product is coming from. And that's how you can take your ethical buying from the coffee cup to a whole basket of things you can feel good about. For Shaw TV, I'm Kim Kasher.